Hello everybody and welcome back to Pokemon All-Star Competition. I am of course Cram, coach of the St. Louis Battlehawluchas, and it's week 8. This is the final week of the regular season. After this there's of course up to 4 weeks of playoffs, but we won't be doing any of that. This will be, I guess, still a very serious match, but I'm still trying to have some fun with it, of course. This is the last week with this team, of course. And this week we are playing the Chernobyl Dragalges, which is coached by Bruno. He's got a pretty scary Sun team, I would say, and he's also got a great set of Terra Captains. Walking Wake hits very hard in the sun. It can tear into anything at once, and the Hariyama itself is also pretty versatile between Thick Fat and Guts. Here he did elect to bring the Terra Dragon on the Walking Wake, and then he brought Terra Bug on the Hariyama, so I assume he's probably Thick Fat for the Mamoswine, as that's what they did on week 1 as well. Here I do have a dedicated lead in the Mamoswine. I'm hoping that he leads the Donphin so that I can potentially get off a Choice Banded Icicle Spear, and if I get free hits, it's a roll to Oko, a max HP variant. Otherwise, I need 4 to knock it out. I could have done Loaded Dice, but Loaded Dice doesn't have the damage output to knock it out in one hit. I could also go for an Icicle Crash Plunge, but I feel that Icicle Spear is just better overall. And I actually do, on lead, get what I want here. So here I'm going to immediately go for the Icicle Spear. And we see it's going to do a little over 25%, so I do probably only need free hits, but unfortunately I only get 2, so he is going to get up rocks, which is unfortunate because he does have the spin blocker in the back with the Clef Key. We'll still try our best to get them removed so that Magmortar can make full use of its item. And I'm just going to click another Icicle Spear because having Donphin gone is pretty nice. But he does decide to go into the Hariyama here, and he definitely is at least built to take on this Mamoswine because he's taken pretty little from each Icicle Spear. But I do get 4. I wish I had it the last turn, but it's alright. And then he also reveals that he is leftovers. I don't really have a great switch-in option into Hariyama, but I do expect a knockoff to come out since he's expecting a switch from me. So I'm going to go into the Glamora so that I can get up my own hazard in the form of T-Spikes. So he's going to knock me off. I'm just wearing boots, no big deal. It just means I am pressured by the hazards next time I come in. Here I imagine he doesn't want to stay in and let this get weakened for the Mamoswine, especially if he's like invested in defense and not in HP or special defense. So I do attempt to take the spin here, but he does deny me the spin and goes into his Clef Key. I'm not really worried about this Clef Key as he can't Oko me at this range, so I just decided to stay in as he gets up his second layer of hazards in the form of spikes, and we're going to hit it with the Earth Power. And fortunately, never really see this ever because I expected him to run bulk, but I actually get the Okos, which is excellent. So now I can spin, but I will not be able to spin right now as he's definitely going to go into the Walking Lake to force me out. He is going to take Toxic Spikes. He doesn't have any poison type that he brought with him outside of the Glimmet, which he left on the bench basically. And right now I don't have a Dragon Switch in. I am going to go into my Melodic here though. It is full Svidef and can take this hit, especially because it's not Photosynthesis boosted in the sun. But he's going to go for the Terastallization, so we don't have that worry about that on Hariyama anymore. He is going to commit to the Terra Dragon. So I imagine he's going to go for a Dragon move since I don't have a Fairy type with me on this build outside of my Terra on Annihilate. Here he's going to go for a Dragon Pulse, and does a pretty good amount of damage, and he's actually reveals to be Life Orb. So he's going to take Life Orb and poison damage, and then I get a little bit of Leftovers recovery, and I'm actually like in a fair position that I could probably take another Dragon Pulse, so I'm going to try to go for the recovery here. But he actually goes for the Draco Meteor and just knocks me out. Which is fine. It's a little hard to get Melodic going in this matchup. I was just going to be a fun little Coil Hypnosis set, but if I had the opportunity, like if he missed or if he went for Dragon Pulse, I could have recovered and then tried the setup, which would have been nice. But that's alright. Now he is going to take more Life Orb and more Poison. He's about half now. I decided to go into Annihilate here. And I imagine he doesn't want to stay in and give me any free boost, so he is going to switch. So I'm just going to go for the Bulk up here. And here, I'm not really sure what he's going to go for. There's a lot of options he could go for. He could go for Foul Play, he could go for Toxic, he could go for Whirlwind. So I just decided to go for another Bulk Up because I'm not really worried. I prepped with Mana Buzz in mind here. But he actually does go for the Whirlwind, so he does have the option that beats this setup because I'm just Rest Talk. I don't have Taunt to stop that. It is going to force me into Gamora though, which is ideally the best case scenario because now I get to force this thing out for free and get a spin off, which is amazing because if he stays in too, I poison it because that's the one thing on this team that's not affected by the spikes. But here he's going to go into the Donphan, take the poison, and then the Mortal Spin, which is great. So I can go for the knockout here. He can go for Ice Shard for Chip if he wants, but he just puts the spike, another layer of spikes up. And he's going to take poison damage, so he's in range of pretty much everything. And here he actually reveals that he has a Cuss Stepper, and I thought he was going to go for Earthquake to take me out, but he actually chooses instead to Rapid Spin, which allows him to clear the Toxic Spikes as Toxic Debris will go up before the spin removes the hazard. So currently we're both playing without hazards, as I'm going to take him out with an Earth Power. I would like to get up Toxic Spikes again if possible because he still has the Oger Pawn in the back, which is a huge threat versus my team. He does go into this thing to force me out, and I do want to save this to try to get up T-Spikes later. So instead I'm going to go into my Arboliva. I'm also Spit F on this thing and built to take on certain variants of this. And as you're going to see, he's going to go for Dragon Pulse with the Terror Dragon and the Life Orb, and he actually brings me pretty cleanly to half, I would say. But because this was a Sun team, I did try to spice up my build here, and we're actually rocking a Harvest set with the Citrus Berry. So he's actually not in range. I'm not in range of the Dragon Pulse, and there's a pretty good chance I'll live the Draco as well, provided he doesn't hit too hard or he's not modest. But he actually ends up missing, so I actually get out of this exchange pretty freely with just KOing it with Hyper Voice. So we're actually pretty far ahead now, and his Terror is consumed, so... Meanwhile, I still have both of my options on the table. Here he does decide to go into the Ogre Pawn. And in this position, I do not want him setting up a Swords Dance on me. So I'm going to commit my Terastallization. I have chosen the Terra Dragon to take this thing on. It allows me to resist all the stats. I'm neutral to Stomping Tantrum as well. And he does go for the Swords Dance. So we're going to make sure we punish that play. We're actually going to go for the Encore here. He is locked into his mask, so he is forced to do the Encore. And here I just decided to go for damage because I do need it at about 50% for Mamoswine to pick it off with an Ice Shard. Here he is going to go into the Mandibuzz. And here I kind of feel like he might pull a double or or he goes for a knockoff. So I decided to go into Magmortar because he's out of special attackers at this point that I'm really concerned about. So I'm going to go into the Magmortar to either take the knockoff and lose my Assault Vest or cover for the switch into Ogerpon. Both work perfectly fine, as this thing also doesn't really touch Magmortar if he doesn't have Stomping Tantrum. So here he's going to be forced out because I'm going to do a lot of damage to him if he chooses to stay in instead of a Swords Dance. So he's actually going to go into the Hariyama here, as I'm going to go for the Acid Spray. This is a fairly accurate move into the Ogre Pawn, but it also covers the switches. And unfortunately, he goes to Hariyama, and I can take this thing out with a follow-up Psychic. Even if he still had Terastallization available, the Spit F drop from Acid Spray would have helped me pick up this knockout. So Magmar is continuing to put in work for me, which is wonderful. They are going to go into the Mandibuzz next. And I don't KO yet, so I'm going to go for the Acid Spray to lower the Spit F, since he's pretty intent on staying in here. And he's going to go for the knockoff to remove my Assault Vest. And now he is in range, so now I can go for the Fire Blast. I didn't want to go for Fire Blast before because I was afraid of missing, of course. But here I felt comfortable staying in and going for it. And now they go into the Ogre Pawn. This is probably where I make the mistake, because I probably do need that Fire Blast damage between the stab and the neutral hits, as they're going to go for the Swords Dance, and I just make the safest play and go for the Acid Spray. Maybe it could combo well if I survive another hit. Even Psychic would have done a little bit more damage, but I probably make the worst option there, and then I drop to a +2 Ivy Cudgel, which is unfortunate. My next response here will go into the Arboliva. I am still pretty healthy, and I do have that Citrus Berry on attack, but he actually does have the coverage for me in the play rough, so unfortunately we are going to drop. I don't think that crit mattered at all because I'm Spit Def and he's +2. So the only thing that could have gone wrong there for him is if he missed, but he did feel like he needed to hit that one. So my only chance here is now to hope that he does miss this time, but he does decide to go for the Ivy Cudgel, and I don't have enough health to take it, so Annihilate is going to bite the dust as well. And lastly, we got Mamoswine and Glimmora left. I just have to hope that I crit this Ice Shard. And unfortunately, we do not do quite enough. I probably needed a little bit more than 50%, to be honest. So, yeah, Mamoswine, unfortunately, is not going to close it out for me. And then, of course, Glimmora in the back is not going to outspeed. And I'm weakened, so I cannot survive a hit, knock him out. He's going to even flex on me and knock me out with a Trailblaze. So, yeah, definitely a couple plays and opportunities that were missed to either set up T-Spikes or to get him in range of Ice Shard. But so, unfortunately, we blew a 5-1 lead, and we're going to end the season with a 1-0 loss. But thank you all for watching this season, and no plans for future content, but if I ever do, make sure to subscribe. But thank you all, and have a wonderful day.